And we're live. Hello and welcome to Iron Rations. I am Tenkar. With me is none other than Joe the lawyer.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
And we are going to discuss, dissect, and I'm sure have a certain amount of discourse about different aspects of Dungeons and Dragons. It's what we do, and we do it well.
Yeah, definitely. That's the fun part of this, man. That's the fun part.
So, Joe, which way do you want to start in on this one today? Which of our little topics do you want to tap?
Well, you sent me a link to somebody named, I guess, John, and he has a point he's making. It says it's interesting just how much 1E failed to provide a uniform standard of play. It was a valid goal for the purpose as a tournament, play incompatibility between campaigns, but the DMG threw a major monkey wrench in the works by failing to provide clear, consistent rules for combat and other basics. Amen to that. We talked about how some of Gary's work was inspired and it's a great output and the quantity, but it was so poorly written. He says it's as surprising as any sort of tournament play at all, or even convention play based on this. I could agree. I mean, there's contradictions. There's stuff. I'm still 30 some years later, almost 40 years later. I'm still like, I read some of the DMs and I'm like, what? Where the hell did that come from? Never saw that before.
And that is because I covered this earlier this week on Tavern Chat, but I was looking at the DMG. I've been going through the DMG from the beginning, and I haven't gotten very far because. You read some of what Gary said about the purpose of that very book, the Dungeon Master's Guide, or just AD&D, and it starts to read like marketing spiel. And the part of the reason why it reads like marketing is because, admittedly, D&D, the original wood grain, white box, whatever that original box set and the basic set were magical because it showed such potential for the format of role-playing. And especially when it came to the original box set, it was poorly written by a wargamer who was thinking like a wargamer.
And
I guess there were...
It assumed you knew chainmail.
Right? Yes. And wilderness, was it wilderness survival? That the default game world is you have to pull it from another product that we don't sell. That being said, if you look at the player's handbook does have some stuff that contradicts rules in itself. The Bard class being one of them. Psionics being another, because psionics, as they're written in AD&D 1E, does not compare. It's not compatible to any of the other rules that are in the beginning of the book.
It breaks the game.
You look at it and you go, but then again, the assumption is you're not going to use the psionic rules because when you deal with monsters like mind flayers and stuff, they have and if you don't have psionic abilities, this is what it does to you. Oh, it's a mind blast that'll stun you or whatever. They assume that you're not going to use those rules, but we had to include them because somebody thought they were cool. The Bard class, somebody thought it was cool, but it breaks the rules for dual classing because it's triple classes, but you can't do that. It allows half elves to dual class, and they can't do that. But if you can be a bard, you can.
What I thought of, the only good thing about the Bard class in AD&D was I liked that they were sort of like the spies of druids. Right. Yes. I mean, they were that was kind of a slick thing. I sort of liked that. I never played it like that in the game because we didn't allow bards because they were stupid. Right. But I did like that they were sort of like the druid spy network, and they flittered about the world telling tales and picking up, picking up information and then filtering it back to the druids. I did enjoy that. But, who would get that high? Because you have to have so much XP just to be a first level bard. And just so that you get the stupid ass bard instruments. Remember those dumb bard instruments?
Yes, but here's the thing about the bard that isn't always realized. If you took the quick leveling, if you only took 4 levels as a fighter, if you only took 5 levels as a thief, you were going to basically level one level per session. Because remember, you're going to max out. First level thief needs 1,500 experience points. So once you change the thief, you're getting one level per session. So as long as you go that route, you're going to be a bard. If you're playing once a week, probably within, I don't know, 10 weeks, you're going to be a bard.
Yeah.
So anonymous Facebook user, if you don't get Facebook permissions, we don't know who you are, but we'll go right back at you. Glad to see you. That's why we always recommend using YouTube, because YouTube is smart enough to tell me who you are.
And John Miller commented, this is actually John Miller's post that I believe it says that we're reading from here. Yeah. So he just commented there as well. It said it's when he was poorly written with regards to clarity and unbalanced, and that was Gygax's style. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, here's the thing with that. Monster Manual was the first book that came out, and the Monster Manual was pretty well formatted.
Mm-hmm.
It stuck to its format. It didn't really contradict itself within itself. The Player's Handbook was the next to release. The Player's Handbook pretty much was self-contained. A lot of people were running that with basic D&D, because if you didn't have the charts, you had to get the charts out of, what was it, Dragon Magazine issue, I don't know, 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were running it with basic. And then you got the DMG. Now, the Player's Handbook didn't contradict itself. It was pretty clear until you got to the Bard and Psionics. At least those were optional rules, right?
Yeah, they did put it back in the appendix. So they did pretty much say this is optional stuff. Yeah,
right.
You're right.
But you get to the DMG, and really, you're being told that everything in the DMG is needed.
Yeah.
But things in the DMG conflict with themselves. And again, I've read the whole thing multiple times, but now when you read it with the idea of not saying, "Oh, I've already read this," but try to read it with fresh eyes, you see things like disease right at the beginning of the book. What you would think that in the beginning of the DMG it would be advice on how to DM, how to be an effective referee, but no, the advice that's being given is, "Hey, if your players are in an urban environment, or it's hot, or God forbid your players go into a swampy environment, they're probably going to get diseased and parasites.
Yeah.
And by the way, it is quite likely that disease will kill them outright." We joke about Traveler being the game system that kills during character generation.
The lethal one.
But you know, AD&D first edition could kill you between sessions. Pretty much is what it's saying. It's like, or yeah, well, the guys come back in. How long are you going to stay in town? A week? Well, that's going to be at least one roll on the disease chart. Especially, would you be happy to go to any houses of ill repute? Because that's not on the chart here, but I'll make an adjustment to your disease and parasites.
Well, they had the harlot table, right? I mean, if you
didn't have the harlot
that,
table. So.
What was interesting to me was that the DMG, I didn't notice this until the maybe 2010, 2011. I didn't realize this. The DMG followed the format of the Player's Handbook in terms of the same, that they followed the order, I should say, of the Player's Handbook. You know what I mean? That's why it was so a little bit unorganized, because it went chapter by chapter covering various things as they occurred in the Player's Handbook. It was like, oh no shit. I didn't, as for the stuff that was relevant.
All right. So how old is your starting character?
Yeah. All that stuff at the beginning. He just went along. He must have been turning pages at a PHP and just stream of consciousness, just like, I don't know, he had a speedball. He just popping that shit out. Just going on and on and on. And
I don't know if he was doing speedballs at that time. I think speedballs probably came a little bit later in Gary. And I'm not saying this to disparage the dead. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know if he did. I don't know if he did.
But Gary, when Gary went to Hollywood,
I heard about that.
And I heard about it straight from, I guess you could say his partner in crime, one of the youths in the family, and yeah, they were both enjoying hanging, getting invited to parties being hosted by drug dealers, because who had money in Hollywood besides the actors, drug dealers.
Yeah.
So
supplying the actors. Yeah, I don't know. I never heard all that, but I just heard rumors. Who knows? Don't want to disparage dead, like you say, but he put out a torrent of information in that freaking book. And a lot of it was, you could tell, it's like, especially the spell descriptions, it was like his own house rules on how he handles various things that came up as he went along. You know what I mean? Oh, for charm person, I do this, and for dispel magic, only this works, and blah, 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 and web only works. It's like these sorts of things that he was typing in, and he put them in spell by spell in order, right? And so it was just amazing. It was just amazing to me how he just followed along. And I think it was more amazing. I didn't catch on to that for 30 years, you know, but I'm still able to open the book to where I think the area is that I need because I read it so damn much. Right.
Oh yeah, well, like my DMG, you can look at the side. Now let's be fair here. My Monster Manual will open up to the same page each time.
Oh, the succubus, of course.
Yeah. But my DMG, I mean, if I open that book up, it goes right to the combat charts. And even if you look at the side, you look at the side of the book, you can see those pages are dirtied, right? Where your fingers always went to, because you always needed the combat chart, you always needed the saving throws.
Those Cheeto covered fingers.
Yeah. Shush. No Cheetos for you.
I was a Doritos guy. I like Doritos and Fritos. They were more my thing.
I was never big on Fritos, but
really,
no Doritos, Cool Ranch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, die for it, right? Right French, now, the sodium might just kill me. But hey,
I know. Yeah. French onion dip, Cool Ranch. Oh my God, anyway. Yeah, we're getting off.
We're not here to talk about bad junk food. Yeah. Now, the other problem with the Dungeon Master's Guide is that it was not internally consistent. You know, when you had the Monster Manual, every monster had a D8 for hit dice, right? You weren't confused. Well, I was confused because I didn't know that because I didn't have the Monster Manual. But every monster had a D8 for hit points for per die. You knew that you knew that. You could see the damage, it was spelled out. Great. Player's Handbook, you got to learn. Fighters have D10s. The subclasses will have D10.
Yeah.
These have D6. The subclasses will have D6. Fine. You get to the DMG and you're like, all right, combat is on a D20. I understand this completely. Wait a second, fucking pummeling and overbearing? What the fuck?
You just give them if people want to try that, you just give them a look, you know?
No, I would tell my players, listen, if you want to do unarmed combat, punches do D2 damage. If you have exceptional strength, I'll add 1. But that's not what the book says. I don't give a fuck what the book says. I don't understand what the book says.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. It makes no fucking sense. And I remember there was a Dragon magazine article, probably in the 70s. I'm going to get this right. And I say 70, not the year 70s. Number somewhere in the 70s.
Yeah.
Where they had an alternate unarmed combat rules. And they were better because at least they were D20 based, just like the alternate psionic rules were D20 based.
Yeah.
If you're saying that this system is based upon a D20 for your attacks and saving throws, why would you change that for other subsystems?
Speaking of subsystems and psionics, did you ever implement psionics? Not obviously, nobody ever implemented successfully the AD&D ones, but later on, I was thinking of introducing.
No. You'd always roll psionics to see if you had it.
Yeah.
Because remember, although we were rolling 46, it wasn't really 46. It became like 5d6.
Yeah.
Take the best 3. If you don't have at least 2 15s, the character doesn't count. Choose the best set of 3.
Yeah, we cheated. We cheated our ass off against psionics. We keep rolling and rolling.
But once you got psionics, and then the DM was like, all right, you got it. Yeah. Listen, only take cellular adjustment and the weaponry one. These are things that I can figure out how to make work. We're never going to do psionic combat at all. And yes, Bad Mike, imagine a gaming book now without an index.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? Yes, you can. Swords and Wizardry Continual Light had no fucking index. I had people bitch about that. There's no index. There's no hyperlinks. I go, it's a 16-page fucking rule book.
Yeah.
If you can't, index. Flip your way through 16 pages.
I've seen index of 16 pages long, for God's sakes. But I mean, looking back to psionics, though, man, forgetting AD&D psionics, later on, and I just did this investigation into psionics because I wanted to figure out. I was thinking of introducing him into a game that I'm running, and it's 5e, but since Psionics is a whole separate system anyway, who gives a shit, right? You can make it whatever you want. And so I'm just checking out the Psionics rules, and honestly, for my money, the second edition Psionics handbook, that brown book, along with a couple of the Gamma World books, and you're good to go. There's a couple Gamma World supplements that make Psionics awesome. Bring out more character, more flavor to it, and put that together with the second edition. Far better, because what it did is it made it its own system. It wasn't a stupid game-breaking AD&D thing. It made it its own system, and it had like ESP-ish, clairvoyance-ish, telepathy-ish. It was really like a different thing than magic. What I've noticed is that 3rd, 4th, 5th edition, all the later editions, what they did with Psionics was they just made it magic. They used the same things that magic spells did. They called it something else or whatever, but it was really just magic spells without having to memorize.
Another type of magic, right? That makes sense. Oh, by the way, John Miller found an OD&D-ism in the AD&D Monster Manual. Only 5 alignments are mentioned: lawful good, lawful evil, neutral, chaotic good, and chaotic evil.
No kidding. That's interesting. Yeah. No kidding.
And it's saying basically Monster Manual is basically for OD&D. I know groups that never went. They used the Monster Manual for basic and expert, never went on to use it for AD&D because it fit seamlessly. I think really the only big thing was like increasing like damage. The assumption was that monsters in AD&D would do more damage because AD&D characters could take more damage. But remember, there was no DMG or Player's Handbook. That was the first book coming out.
What I wonder is that, remember, Holmes was supposed to be the bridge to AD&D, right? The Holmes edition. I believed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Holmes only had 5 alignments too, right? And so I think Holmes was saying, move from here on to AD&D, right? And so that may be why, because Holmes was out when the Monster Manual came out, and then after that, it kind of went away, and then we got BX and all that stuff, right? And so I wonder if that's a carryover from Holmes because it was the system that was going on right then.
No, it could be. Holmes had to make some assumptions as to what was going to be in AD&D, and he didn't know.
But I think that AD&D, the Monster Manual, used Holmes' alignment system.
Right. Now, John also points up that the Spirit Naga has 4th level cleric, but the spell table is for OD&D clerics. But again, it was written before the Player's Handbook, so what else were you going to reference?
Yeah.
And that is part of the I guess the issue, the problem. It's not like today where a publisher goes, well, we're going to put out a new game system. We're going to get them the core books right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
The hope was, why was the Monster Manual first? The Monster Manual was first quite simply because you could use it with OD&D. You could use it with Basic Expert. It was something that fit those rules well. So it's kind of like this weird bridge between.
Yep.
If you think about it, of course, my son calling.
I told myself after last time I'm going to remember to call you during the middle of this.
Yeah, you should. I figured that since I talked to him earlier, and of course he's calling on Facebook. and I have like so many fucking devices to keep on hearing it everywhere. Yes, this is how this is the level of professionalism you get from me at least. Joe's a bit more professional. I'm just pure.
I'm just still employed. I can keep my mouth shut on a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Getting a pension that's guaranteed by a state constitution to get paid before state salaries.
Yeah.
It's
a nice deal you got going on.
Fuck really is. But I do find that the thing with the alignments is very interesting. Yes, like you said, Basic had only 5 alignments, and therefore, the Monster Manual, what could it build off of? If you think about it, the DMG probably should have been the second or the third book released because it could have been used with Basic Expert D&D seamlessly.
Yeah.
Because really, it was conflicting with everything and nothing.
I think he needed to have the player's handbook out first so that he could use it as a guide to say, what am I going to do with the DMG? Matt Jackson joined us. Just Joe's camera's still not working. No, Matt, to quote the Kurgan, I am in disguise. Remember the scene in the church?
Yes, I wanted to get him like a panda costume, just put a panda head over his head. Maybe we'll do a crowdfunding with it. We'll crowdfund a costume for it, but that gets hot. That's
to be an extra large, man. Has to be a big ass costume. few X's in that large there, yeah. Several, half a dozen or so.
So the 5 alignment system was being used by Judges Guild, not the AD&D little blue book, a little brown book, a little white book, whatever.
John Miller, you're quite the damn expert on all this stuff, man. That's impressive.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he keeps it going. But now here's something that. And I can't quote my source, and since it's from the source I can't quote, I'm not going to say that this is, the truth brought on from on high, and that Gary told somebody secrets. I don't know, but my source has told me that many of the tables in the DMG, especially the ones that you kind of scratch your head, like, do we need a harlot table?
Who doesn't need a harlot? Of course we need a harlot table. I mean, what kind of question is
that? Do we need a table for disease and parasites? Certain tables you kind of like, the occupation, your prior occupation. I was a furrier, as opposed to a Furby. But in any case, supposedly, Bob Bledsoe Sr., is rumored to have been a source of many of those tables, and that was kind of like, well, yeah, I'm happy to donate tables, and just make sure my license can I get an AD&D license too, right? And kind of that deal.
I remember talking to Rob Kuntz about this. One of the few times I talked to him, he just is like going back 10 years, so not exactly perfect, but he talked about Judges Guild coming to them and offering they wanted to make modules or, adventures and publish them. And they're like, yeah, well, I don't care. Who's going to buy that shit? Guy Axe and Robert, like, why would anybody want to have somebody imagine for them? Why would anybody want to have somebody do all that creation for them? You missed the boat on that one a little late.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think part of the thought process was, the DM is in control. You write the adventure. You're in control. Gary basically, he comes out and almost says that you are
God.
God, judge, and executioner to a large extent. And yes, you are referee, and you're supposed to be an arbiter, but and not the individual making decisions based upon story, but based upon the roll of dice. But I don't know how often that actually was.
No, I mean, you're playing with your friends, and a lot of times the DM had a character you couldn't find enough friends to play with, and so you're always fudging things a little bit in your group's way because it helped your own character. At least that's how we did it a lot. Look at Tim Shorts is here from Gothridge Manor. Dress him up as a rot grub. He'll love it. He goes straight to your heart. Yeah. It's the infamous rot grubs.
You know what? Infamous rot grubs. So you got to either burn them out or cut off the limb.
He threw him at us because he knows I search everybody for everything. I do the full body cavity search and everybody we kill, and he threw rock rubs at me like, son of a bitch. I thought I'd have to lose an arm or something. It's again Tim, most lethal DM I ever played with, and he sits there. Talk about an arbiter, a neutral referee. You don't care. You don't care. You sit there. You're gonna die, and you're gonna die. That's it. You have to roll up your fourth guy this session. Who cares? That's your problem, buddy. You shouldn't have churched every single body.
But now you look back to early days of gaming. Gary's initial group, where a lot of the spell names came from. Morden Keenan, Tensor, Big B. These were all spells that are named after player characters in his campaigns. Player characters that reached name level or higher in his campaigns. I never played in a campaign that legitimately reached name level.
Define legitimate.
We got to for one summer. It was one level per session.
Oh wow! I think I read somewhere it should have been like maybe 7 sessions between levels or something. 7 good sessions. I mean, 7 high school level sessions where you're like 5 hours at a time, not old man sessions where you do 2.5 and have to go to bed because you got to work the next day. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing. And again, John brings up the lack of published adventures, and it surprises him. I don't think it surprises me as much, because I think when they initially thought this game up, they were thinking like a war game.
Yeah.
I present you the rules, and then you play it. And the hunger for more was huge, and that is why AD&D came along, because AD&D was the purpose behind AD&D was to cut out those fucks on the West Coast that were publishing self-publishing like their house rules for D&D. And sure, they were being exchanged between groups, and they were heretics, for lack of a better phrase. If you look at gaming and religious terms, these were fucking heretics. And the point of AD&D was to take the Bible and say, no, the old Bible, no. If you want to continue being a heretic, stay with it. But AD&D is it's the truth. It's the one word. And if you read the Bible, you'll also realize that the New Testament, depending on which part of the New Testament you're reading, the same story is told like 8 different ways. Because
but just like the heretics of the Catholic Church, Eric, it truly wasn't a heretic that they gave a shit about the different beliefs. It was that somebody else was getting the church donations. So Gary was pissed off that somebody else is maybe if not getting money, at least taking away money from him.
Because here's the thing: they were profiting off of his game.
Yeah.
And Ryan is like, well, Gary and Mark Miller, that would be D&D and Traveler, wrote their games to be almost entirely improvised. I'm sure they did, until they realized how much money was in it, because if they weren't going to monetize it, others were. It's one thing to say, I'm going to put out this game and I'm not going to monetize it. Then you turn and there's some fuck over in, I don't know, San Francisco, Oakland, LA, Seattle, it was a lot was happening on the West Coast. And like, wait a second, they're publishing. I mean, they're not making a lot of money off it, but they're trading the house rules back and forth.
Yeah.
They have a different combat system. They've got different classes. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a fucking second. The only supplement we have is Strategic Review / Dragon Magazine. We got to find a way to monetize this shit.
Yeah. And that's what happens.
A lot of it was taking the stuff. No, Alessandro. Joe's camera has never worked except in private, and I can't tell you what I've seen in private.
Yeah, I'd rather not have people looking at my mug when I'm doing this. Plausible deniability.
It's a lovely mug. Everybody likes your mug. Everybody talks highly of your mug. Can't show the mug.
Yeah.
We got actually. You know what? We should have
a mug.
A mug, yes. We'll get iron rations. We'll get iron rations put on a mug, and just put the graphic on it, because otherwise we have you. Joe, here's a question I've been meaning to ask you probably for fucking years, but I'm going to ask you now. Totally off topic, but not off topic. All right, I am looking at what would be your video if you had video up.
Yeah.
And what exactly is going on in that artwork? It looks like an elf slaying a harpy.
No, that's from the Lost and the Damned. That's from the Warhammer, one of those Lost and Damned books that came out. Remember, there was 2 books in that series that was excellent, and that's a picture from it. That, to me, it had some of the greatest art I've ever seen in any books. And that's just one picture that I grabbed from it. It's some sort of demon thing killing some other kind of demon thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but it looks so freaking cool. And I've since used it as my avatar pretty much for all D&D things everywhere, I really enjoy that thing. It's just badass. When you look at I'll send you the real picture later. But
all right, I'm just saying, like, if people, I think I got to bring that up. Now, Bad Mike says that there was a huge falling out between Gary and the West Coast RPGers that you can see happen in the pages of fanzines at the time. That was that, oh, God. because they had the fanzines that got traded. I forget the name of them. I have like a couple of copies of those, like super fanzines, which is like fanzines within a fanzine.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what it's called anymore. But yes, but that was taking money away from Gary, and it was taking influence away from Gary. Remember, Alarms and Excursions. Thank you, Bad Mike. Bad Mike, man of knowledge, the most organized man at Frog God Games, allegedly. And I say allegedly because I don't want to insult anybody who might be more organized than Mike. But yes, there was bad blood because they were improving on Gary's game and making money off it.
Yeah.
Or at least
and at least taking money from him that he thought might have been his. Hey, speaking of zines, I know they're doing the Kickstarter thing. They do that big zine thing every year in February.
Yes.
Are you going to get involved in that or what?
No.
Huh?
I don't do Kickstarter. I don't do Kickstarter in May. I don't do Kickstarter in June. I don't do it in a box. I don't do it with locks. I could get a Dr. Seuss rap going for it, but listen, I will critique Kickstarters and I will give advice on Kickstarters.
Could you imagine if one Kickstarter that you did came up late? Everybody you've ever busted balls on would come out.
Dude, I can guarantee. If I listen, here's the way a Kickstarter I'm involved in will not come out late. I go to somebody. Here is my input. Here you go. Run the Kickstarter. It's not going to be in my name because I don't want to make a. Here's the other thing. I don't want to make a cent off it.
Yeah. I'm
in a position where I don't need the hobby to be profitable. I want to recycle the hobby's money back into the hobby. And with Kickstarter, it's for tax purposes, it's next to impossible to do so.
It was called Zine Quest, I think, and Tim did one last year. Matt Jackson says zines. Oh my God, not again! Yeah, Matt, you going to do one this year, Matt? Put out a zine. Come on, Matt. Put something out.
Jeff Jones, my layout guy. Jeff happened to share my birthday with me.
Mm-hmm.
I say share my birthday, not just my birthday, but my year of my birth. So he's like my brother separated by 1,000 miles on another mother. But he's, I think, going to be doing 2 zines for it. And I've gotten a little peek behind the scenes. I'm excited to see what he brings out. But I have been peripherally involved in, I believe, 2 Kickstarters where I did material that was in the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
But I want nothing to do with running a Kickstarter. Listen, I've already been hospitalized. I was hospitalized 3 times in 2020. Oh, by the way, I can't get hospitalized again in 2020. Knock on wood, that year is over.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of which, man, I know last year we were playing. Speaking of hospitalizations, we were playing. You were jumping into games and whatnot. We were trying to get regular stuff going with Tim's game and all that. And then you're back, and you had health issues for getting in the way. And then later on, you find out what all they all were all about.
Yeah.
Now that you no longer have, knock on wood, the health issues anymore, you're going to get back to running a long-term campaign or being in a long-term campaign. I don't mean to play by mail. I mean just a regular Tuesday night game or something.
Well, here's the deal. With my idea with doing the play-by-post gaming is I want to run a drop-in, drop-out, and not face-to-face because we're not face-to-face, but Roll20, Discord, whatever, session once a month in the same world, same setting, and possibly overlapping characters as the play-by-post. And I want people to be able to transfer back and forth between the two. So now I've got myself a little quandary on how to make that effective.
Yeah, because the play-by-post, you could take 58 posts just to say open a damn door.
Well, here's the other thing. With the play-by-post, I'm going to require people to give a list of standard actions. It's based upon standard options. Like, if you're in combat, what is your general tactics going to be for the first 3 rounds?
Yeah.
And we're going to, and I've got ways to speed it up. Because believe me, I understand that the length of time this shit will take can be huge, but I want to be able to integrate the two so I can have a group that games in real time at least once a month, which people aren't obligated in. They can drop in and drop out.
Yeah.
And at the same time, have a slower paced, but I guess, well, is it really slower paced when you're expected to post like at least once a day, but have something that is also going on concurrently by post? I'm just trying to work out the theoreticals.
Good luck. You might be better off doing a parallel universe thing with 2
No,
campaigns.
no,
the timelines
I want to cause. I want to cause trouble.
All right. I'm just thinking the timelines are going to get so messed up because in a 3-hour,
dude,
3-hour game.
Well, here's the thing: if I'm going to do that, then the sessions in the Roll20 are going to have to be episodic. Especially if they're going to be dealing with people that can drop in, drop out. So everything in that 4-hour time slot should be roughly timed out that you finish.
Yeah, nothing carried over. In other words,
you know, and then we move on. But
5-room dungeon kind of shit, basically.
So Mike is saying that Gary threatened the West Coasters with legal action. So you know what? No, I'm not going to say it, but he basically threatened them with legal action that was pretty much groundless, like I've been threatened with multiple times. Now, at least now I have a lawyer on the show with me. If we get threatened with anything we say, at least I can say, talk to the lawyer who's self-involved.
Yeah, I don't know shit about it. I'm barely a lawyer, dude. I'm half-ass. I don't know shit anyway.
Dude, it's like calling you. You're a cop. I'm like, I'm retired for 5 years. Yeah. I haven't. I was behind a desk for my last 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I was pretty far removed. Hey, Bob.
Hey, here's the other thing where I wanted to hit on. I got this blog post from it looks like December 26th. I'm going to put it in. I'll put it in the chat here in the YouTube chat, and everybody can see it. But it's interesting because it's from the Silver Key, and they talked about Appendix N we're all familiar with. I guess I never really realized that in the back of Moldave Basic, there was a D&D inspirational source material versus, then they had the Appendix N and the AD&D one. So I'll put the link in here. You take a look at it. Very different and a lot of different kind of stuff, a lot of different kind of stuff. So there's the link. Everybody can take a look at it. And just to pull it up, though,
I don't see your link, dude.
It's in the YouTube.
Oh, okay. I thought you were putting it into the general chat channel here with us.
Oh, let's put that in the private chat with you there. It's also there. There you go.
All right. Well, then here, let me copy this copy link, and I'll put it into the general comments here.
Yeah. So it's interesting, though, because if you look at it, you'll see that there's a lot of different kind of stuff that he has in Mulvey that, I didn't hear of most of anything for Gygax, but I went back and read a lot of his stuff, or at least looked at it, investigated, or whatever. So much so that it was familiar that you see it in the bookstore, you see it in the library, or something like that. But this shit in the Mulvey inspirational material is very different, man. It's very different. He goes into, he breaks it into better categories than Gygax did, right? He has young adult fantasy fiction, young adult nonfiction, and then adult fiction. It just short story collections and a bunch of nonfiction in there. And it's like it's a different style. And I thought that it inspired him to create the game that he was, writing in a sense, whereas the Gygax inspirations, inspired Gygax in a different style. I don't know a lot of these things at all from this inspirational source material from the Mulvey book. I've never. If you take a look at this stuff, we got obviously Paul Anderson and whatnot, but Avram Davidson, Michael Moorcock is there, but Talbot Mundy, who Tanith Lee.
Tanith Lee name's familiar. I probably read one or two of her books back in the day, but I couldn't tell you, which ones. At least I remember the name popping up. T.H. White's The Once and Future King.
Yeah,
certainly read that. Mary Stewart's The Crystal Cave. Any of her books? Nope. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Nope.
Yeah, I read that years later, but it's very different. It's very different. But here's the thing about it: that structuring your game around the stuff you read. We all, I in the '80s, right? It's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and then And then, of course, he did the Dragonlance thing, and he did the Terry Brooks thing, and he did the Raymond Feist thing. And then, since Fritz Leiber was getting paid and getting famous because of D&D, you found his books on a bookstore. Those are the easy stuff, right? Michael Moorcock, you saw his used books and paperbacks everywhere. So there was a lot of shit from Gygax's list, and I think probably because Gygax's list was a lot smaller and had a lot more popular authors you could find at the time, right? Or like your evergreen authors like Edgar Rice Burroughs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mulvey's was very different. Now, what this article on the Silver Key says, which is really interesting, if you look at the second paragraph there, it says, I have not sat at a table and played a game run by a DM raised on a strict diet of modern video games, for example, but I would bet good money that the experience would be quite a bit different than a game run by a DM steeped in Tolkien and Moorcock and Howard Vance. Yeah, you're damn right, because you know what that game looks like? Fucking 5e, Tasha's Cauldron of bullshit, and Xanthar's Guide to all kinds of stupid crap. That's what it is. You have all these stupid races, all these stupid ass classes that are informed by video games, manga, anime. I mean, it's just dumb shit, that people want to play. Kids want to play because it's their influence. And I look at that, I'm like, no, it's dumb.
Right.
Basically, if it wasn't an AD&D, you're not playing it in my goddamn game. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Here's the thing, too. Like we look at orcs, all right? Their physical appearance has changed over editions, for the later editions, starting with later 3rd edition, to reflect games like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Because remember, there was a World of Warcraft 3rd edition game that you could have played. I mean, this is when Wizards of the Coast said, "Hey, there's money in these MMOs."
Yeah.
And
what fourth edition?
MMOs are making money off of. Again, we're going to take this to the Gary extent. The MMOs are making money off of our backs, effectively, right? Because role-playing games, D&D in particular, created the genre, and now MMOs took it to not just the level of computers that was already done, but taking it to the point where people are playing with each other virtually over the computer, and they're making a subscription fee off that.
Yeah.
And why can't Wizards of the Coast make a subscription fee? Well, apparently you can't make a subscription fee because your main programmer back in the 4E days happened to kill his common law wife. And this is after the fiasco of already stealing the dice graphics from Fantasy Grounds 2.
What? We got dead to this. What?
Oh, you didn't know about it?
What the hell are you talking about, man?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You got somebody killing people?
Yeah, you didn't know the drama?
No.
All right, I used to know it a lot better, so I'm not going to go into the details. I probably have to look up my own blog post to find the details. But I remember when 4A was talking about how they were going to come out with their own VTT. And I'll tell you the truth, I was excited because VTTs excited me.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first one I played with you, the first one I ever played was with you, was Roll20 in its earliest incarnation. And I think, do you remember we did a video? They came into our game and they recorded, of course, not us talking because that would have been fucking bad, but they just recorded us playing and laughing. I guess really we were drunk and they just liked to show us all laughing around the VTT. Yeah.
No, actually,
it was a promotional thing.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that was the Roll20.
That
might have been there was a rule set that a VTT that we were actually the early group played with the main programmer.
Oh, really?
And what happened was they were trying it. Listen, back in the day, and it's going back like 10 years or more. Back in the day, VTTs weren't all that good, or they did one thing good and everything else pretty shitty.
It was a whiteboard and chat room. That's right.
Right.
And a place to talk.
This was pretty much on that level. And what happened was after Roll20 got released, because this other one had Kickstarter too. They both successfully kickstarted.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We got the loser one that never made it anywhere.
Right. That got merged in, and I was like, I backed them fucking both on the I'm a god / loser level, and I was like, oh well. But what happened with the 4th edition D&D VTT, which was in a beta stage,
Mhm.
was that you were going to be able to buy minis for it. You have to pay. You want more orcs? They're 50 cents a piece or whatever they're
Oh,
going to price them
Jesus
at.
Christ, really?
So you were going to have to buy your VTT pogs. Now, if you were using something like, oh God, one of the open source VTTs,
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. Like, was it not map something or other? It had a program where you could take any piece of art and just make it into a pog.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, their plan at Wizards of the Coast was to make you pay for pretty much every element on it. Well, two people involved in the programming were a husband and wife team. I believe they were common law, and they were having issues. I think he might have been psychotic, and then the project. I guess the wrong term would say the project died. But the project was shelved when he killed his partner, and it went belly up. Yes, Map Tools. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Map Tools was something that was ahead of its time, and I had no programming knowledge, so it was one of those projects that was like, oh, I can donate. I'll donate $10. I'll never use it, but I'll donate. I'll donate $10. David is like, did you check out Foundry? I have looked at it. I have not checked it out. I have not taken it for a test drive. Maybe if I can get my shit together, maybe I'll test drive my new campaign. And
I've heard good things about it.
I've heard very good things about Foundry.
Yeah.
By the way, they're not sponsoring the show. We don't have sponsors because who the fuck is sponsor Joe and all?
Yeah, we
yeah.
You do have 15 people watching right now, though, man. That's not bad.
No, it's very good. It's,
hey, does that count the Facebook people, or is it just YouTube people?
I believe that counts both, but we'll know better when we log out and we get the Facebook, the YouTube account. But no, that's the fact that there's 15 people that basically are sitting at a bar, letting me talk.
Yeah,
God bless you.
Yeah, that, you guys must be fucked up. We lost the person. We're down to 14. Fuck, we got to get back to D&D talk.
Well, when you start killing off, D&D programmers, then that's when it goes south. Jeez. But in any case, that is the long story short. There are, I'm sure, more details on the web. I'm sure I have some of the details on Tenkar's Tavern if you want to look up 4E.
I never heard about that because I ignored 4E because it was a stupid. It looked like it was basically vomit. I mean, it was no better than vomit, and like dog vomit at that, not even human vomit. So I didn't even bother with it. It was just terrible.
My main problem with 4E, and I thought initially I bought it, and then I went, well, everybody gets one per level.
Well, Matt's in there. It says Map Tools lead programmer did not kill his wife. I worked with the lead programmer. Actually made all the icons for the menus.
Not Map Tools. It was the 4E lead programmer, not Map Tools. Map Tools was a great tool.
Yeah.
It was not. No, it was the 4E. Yeah, it was the lead It was the programmers involved in programming.
The official Wizards of the Coast thing, you mean?
The official VTT that was being put out there to work with the 4E, and it was going to be published by Wizards of the Coast. It was their way to monetize the virtual realm, and I believe the programmer that committed the homicide is the same one that got caught stealing the graphics from Fantasy Grounds, where Fantasy Grounds has the roll your dice, and you can watch those dice bounce around. At the time, it was a highlight for Fantasy Grounds for me because I couldn't. As a GM, I could not do anything with the program, but I could. As a player, it was great. But
I've been doing Roll20 a lot, man. It's been good. I've invested actually money in some of the stuff for 5e and whatnot. It makes a lot of things really simple. I remember when we used to play, we did it in a very basic, bare bones way. And I've been learning, just watching, playing with other people and figuring it out. I'm like, little by little, you just pick up on it. It's like, hey, I've resisted learning this shit because I just wanted to keep it simple and as close to, tabletop as we can. But I got to say, it makes life a lot easier in a lot of ways. I finally am actually playing on a character sheet rather than having a piece of paper in front of me in one game, in an online character sheet. And it's like, geez, I never thought I'd go that far, because it was like my one holdout in playing online is I always had a piece of paper character sheet with everything written in pencil on it. And that's where my scores were. That's where my abilities were, because I missed the face-to-face. But when I moved to online, what do you mean? I just click on my longsword little thing there, and it shoots the dice out, and I roll the attack and the damage all at one time. Holy shit!
Well, here's the thing with me. I didn't even go that far. I have my old desk, the desk that I basically abandoned because I can't access it during the week when Rach is working. I have a desk blotter, which is basically it's a desk blotter size graph papers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I would roll my characters and I would make my notations. And the only problem is that after about 4 or 5 sessions, I'd have to find the character find a character that Tim did not kill. I had to find a character Tim did not kill, and then like put a big X, big square around it, and then transfer that to the sheet behind it that was clean, and start the mess all over again.
Yeah, the mess it would probably be, because I got the beer stain, the ring around it and whatnot, coffee. You got Matt saying, Joe is jealous after seeing how amazing Tim and I were running our games at Roll20. He's not wrong. I mean, I was a little like, oh, shit, we could do that? Show me how to do that. I remember, Matt, you tried to show me virtual lighting one night. It was after our game, and it was me, you, and Tim were there. And I think we're the 3 last men standing, and I was sitting because I couldn't stand. It was one of those nights, and you started talking about virtual lighting or something, and how you block off rooms. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm tapping out. I'm done. And you went on to it, and you explained it to him, and then I think Tim might have done it later. And it's like, now I look at it, I'm like, God, that's fucking easy. It really is simple. It's like I could do that. So yeah, you've inspired me to learn, man.
See, that'd be great, but the problem is, like, if you've played with me as your DM on Roll20, you would know that I don't use like minis or any of that shit. It's just take the pointer and tell the bad DM where he touched you. I mean, tell me on the map. Tell me on the map where you're looking at, or where you're going, or I'll point out and tell you where the encounter is. Because as my old gaming group knows, since most of them are here, who is usually the one that you got to go, psst, psst, Tenkar,
wake up,
move your fucking paw. I'm still talking. I'm in the game, right? I don't remember to move. Listen, I haven't played chess since college, all right? You think I know to move these pieces constantly? If I was playing at a real fucking table, I'd be like, yeah, that's my mini. It's out there to show you that I painted something 10 years ago, and that's the marching order. Never went beyond that. So,
John is saying, if you're playing an open-ended campaign where players can go anywhere, then Roll20 start to use can't prep any possible location map. What I do to get around that, John, is I got about 8 or 10 or 12 generic maps, right? They're like, I even call them like campsite by a river, woods in the north, mountains, hills, things like that, a forest encounter near the swamp or whatever. And then what I do is just, if they come up across and they're in the woods and they come across an encounter, I just drag over orcs or drag over whatever. I have a page that I use in Roll20 where it has all the most commonly used monsters, and I group them like 10 or 20 together. And then I'll copy 10, drop 10 in, there you go. And I tell the guys, go take a leak, get a beer, whatever, come back, and the monsters are there. You have a fight, It's so much easier than even go dig into boxes and little things full of your tiny minis on the game table if you use that.
Listen, so my best games and my hardest ones to run were running when I was running Mouth of Doom at conventions for Frog God. Because you got the whole dungeon out there.
Mouth of Doom. Doesn't it sound like a great nickname for a wife you don't like? Mouth of Doom. Yeah. He just never shuts up. That kind of a wife. I would have Mouth of Doom. Anyway.
Shut the Mouth of Doom, God damn it. Hey, hi, Rach. How are you? I didn't see that.
I said a wife you don't like. So, yes.
No. But, you're challenged by having everything out there like that. I mean, in a way, you're challenged by even the way I do it with the Fog of War and the reveals on a VTT, because now players are going, that speck on that wall, what does that mean? It's like, fuck. Nothing. It means nothing. Or it means I'm trying to hide a secret door from you. It's one or the other, depending on where I got my material from. And you don't have that problem with theater of the mind. As Matt says, theater of the mind is far superior to any VTT. It is, however, and I'm going to throw this out to Joe and our live listeners. When you DM theater of the mind, who draws out the maps, the DM or the players? Because I know, yes, in my groups, the DM draws out the map.
Yeah.
Why? Because otherwise, sessions will take 3 times the amount of time. And as people go, all right, well, but you said 30 feet to the right. Well, I said east. Is east right or left? I don't know. Let me see your map. On your map, it's still, but now it goes at a 45-degree angle, and it slopes. Just give me the fucking paper. Give me the fucking paper. I'll do it.
Yeah. I had that same problem. I played a great theater of mind game a couple weeks ago, right? And somebody else DMing. And I'm like, this is fucking fun. I like this. I miss this. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm playing Roll20 so much that my skill set is deteriorating. I want to try a theater of mind. So I tried it with my brother, right? And so we're sitting there. And this is where Roll20 is helpful in minis in general. When you're brothers and you fight about shit all the time about where's my guy? Wait, if he was there, how come we couldn't do this? You said he was there before. Back and forth. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You know, that kind of shit. So when you've been fighting since your age, playing D&D, age 14 and 12, you're going to keep that dynamic going, right? And so I found that theater of the mind works with certain groups. But if you like to bicker and if you bust balls, it ain't going to work too well. And so I tried the theater and I tried to describe the map so he could draw it out or have it in his head. You know, oh my God, it led to such bullshit. So I'm like, just shut up. I'll just draw and I did. I scratched it out. But there's just a dig. I'm like, this is not the scale. This is a general. Oh my God, that led to more bullshit. Just back and forth. I'm like, done. I'm done. It could work with certain groups, but doesn't work with others.
Now, Matt Jackson points out another problem. Oh my God, Joe is notorious for searching every damn nook and cranny I draw into my map. No, Joe, that's just a rock alcove I drew on there.
Again, as all things, I blame it on Tim because Tim tried to kill me with every rock alcove and fucking doorknob. So I want to know what the shit is that's going to come out and kill me. That's all. I want to know what it is.
I want to know what it is before it kills me. I don't mind if it kills me.
Yeah.
I listen. Forewarned is if it's going to take me out, that's fine. Just I want to see it coming, man. I want to know. See, my problem with pure theater of the mind, a lot of time, and letting the group draw out the map is if I'm drawing out the map, I probably won't forget to include the altar or include the right over here. We've got there's a pool, and I won't forget to put that in. But if I describe it, there's a good chance I'm gonna fucking forget.
Yeah.
And there's the problem. Yes, I guess Vance has played with Joe, and then he goes shopping.
You gotta shop. You gotta shop for good shit. That's how you survive these games. If you don't have the shovel, the pickaxe, the crowbar, we know that for any Matt's game, we need a fucking crowbar for any of the Matt's games, and buckets. Buckets I found are useful now too. And you need a guy to carry all that shit too. Somebody big, dumb, and stupid it's too stupid to run away in combat. That's what you need. Yeah, Tim, I taught Joe how to abandon dungeons before he checked under rocks. You can teach old lawyers new tricks. Yeah, as soon as I grab something, I'm running away now. If I'm lucky enough to get 3 coppers out of something in Tim's game, I'm feeling as a victory, and I'm running down the road.
I'm stepping out, getting the XP for the treasure I found. Then I'll step back in. But I want to make sure I get my credit before I get fucked.
Yeah, exactly. God, say Eric, your game, is it you gonna have a long-standing campaign in a setting in a world? Is it gonna be a lot of one-shots, or is what kind of immersion level?
It's gonna be in a setting, and it's gonna be in a world, and adventures are going to be loosely connected, but they're going to be divided by time. So you're going to have a downtime of a month or 2 between adventures. That's going to allow the activity going on in the play-by-post and all that stuff to kind of simmer in. And also I find episodic works better if you're designing something for drop in, drop out, which is what I want to do. I want it to be something where people can jump in if they want to play, and they can't make it this month. It doesn't bring everything to a halt. It's like, yeah, we got our 4 players. We're good. I have learned that when it comes to running game sessions, when I run things in person, I can run with 10 to 12 players in person. And Joe, if you see me, I think run with 9. I think they run like 9 of our sessions.
Yeah.
At
that Shire Con. Yeah, you had a good table there. Yeah.
And I can run at that level. I can probably, I think the most I've done is 11. I could probably hit 12. With a VTT, I cannot come anywhere near those numbers. I think 6, maybe 7 is my limit. And the reason is when I do physical cons, when I'm in meet space, whether it's MEAT or MEET, when I'm there physically, I can walk at CharterCon, you can't walk the tables because there's no room.
Yeah.
But other conventions, I walk around the table. I stand up. I gesture. I project my voice. I make eye contact. You keep people involved. Human nature is when you are not directly involved, that your mind likes to multitask, and it will change what it's stressing on. And I understand that, and people multitask at conventions with me all the time. But I like to make sure that the game itself is either number 1 or number 2 in your mind at the time.
Yeah.
The problem with BTTs is at the moment you as a player are not a focus, and this is not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. The game now becomes priority 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else keeping you focused but a computer screen. And I don't know, maybe if you experiment with piping Conan music in the background, maybe that would keep people focused. I don't know.
Combat. Death at every corner keeps them focused, I've noticed. Otherwise, if they don't think they're going to die, if they're just sitting there, someone else is talking, they get a little distracted. You just try to kill them.
But Joe, here from Matt, 2 of the last 3 sessions were spent shopping. That doesn't sound like the threat there is that you're gonna chip a shopkeeper and they're gonna
that's Matt's fault. That's Matt's fault. We told him, listen, Matt, we were gonna go to a city. We got to the city. Matt retconned us getting to the fucking city because he wanted to put another city over near a river. It's all right. So we're back to the city. Now we got to roll more random encounters. Then he's got to draw up the city because Matt's the map guy, right? He draws the fucking city. I said, Matt, what are you drawing the city for? We need 3 things. We need the bar. You need maybe a couple whores, and we need a goddamn place to buy and sell shit. We could even just do that shit between. No. Matt's got to draw the whole fucking city out and all this stuff. Then we get into the encounters. He's got personalities. He's got people. That's all. All that shit.
He's one of those role playing DMs.
Oh my god, we got to like this guy. He's got 4 kids.
Game with Matt.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it is. It's mass immersion. I was just like willing to Matt. I'll write a list of all the shit I want to buy. I got the money. I'm going to give you the list of stuff. You let me know whoever got it will be done. No. We got to go and talk to Bluto, the bartender, and figure out who the fuck sells the bucket. And this guy sells only crowbars, and that's all Matt's fault. But yeah, all his fault.
And there's sub quality crowbars, right? You want to make sure you get the ones that are rated. You don't want the cheap ones because they'll snap the moment you try to use them.
Yeah. Here, ShireCon. Bob G, yes, I was at ShireCon. I went to both of them, I believe. And I think there's only 2 now, right, Eric?
Yeah, this is supposed to be the 3rd.
Yeah. Coming out, they canceled this year, obviously, for obvious reasons. And then are they going to do it September?
I believe the game plan is that Tom has it planned for the September, but I guess it all depends on the rollout of the immunization for the COVID.
All right. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's true. Yeah, to talk about Jeff Tillanian's daughter, you got to keep you try not to swear. It's funny. She played in your game with us, Eric. Jeff Tillanian's daughter.
She did.
Yeah. She sat next to me. I think she played a wizard. She saved our ass with a sleep spell.
Yeah, I did try. Listen, when Mike G goes with his son, so it's Mike the 3rd and Mike the 4th. Mike the 4th has I tried initially not to curse around, and I said, fuck it. He hears me on the podcast and hears me on the chat for the last couple of years. This kid's been hearing me curse on Discord for the last 4 years. There's no way he's going to be surprised if I drop an F-bomb.
Yeah.
But with Jeff's daughter, I was like, oh man, I don't think. Yeah, Daddy, Tenkar runs a nice game, but my God, have you heard his mouth? Because I'd like to think that Jeff doesn't curse at home. I mean, howdy mouth, but
I'd imagine he's pretty straight up at home. I would imagine. Who knows, right? But yeah. So Bob J, I guess if you played at the table with me, then yeah, you did. I'm the big fat guy. So yeah, you did. Old man memory is fading. Yeah, tell me about it, dude. Tell me about it. Yeah, Matt does a lot of standing when he runs games for us. He's always standing doing poses, doing these weird, kind of like I try to screen capture as many as I fucking can, but he moves too fast. For an old guy,
he's doing that drill sergeant shit in the background,
Yeah, he jumps up, he does poses, he does hand gestures, like oh shit, I'm gonna guess print screen, save that image, but he moves too fast,
I couldn't do that because the moment I did it, it's like, shit, man, Tenkar's doing this in his underwear again. Come on. It's like, hold on, guys, I'm gonna do a bio break. Let me turn off my screen.
Yeah, you forget.
Wink.
That's when you forget that you think you're muted and you rip a fart or something. Oh shit,
Oh, yeah, I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. Yeah, listen, true confessions, I've actually let a few rip on the podcast. And I'm always afraid to go back and see if the mic picked it up, but the new mic, I'm sure picked it up.
Well, here, just so y'all know, you hear this sound? I've noticed this in the last thing. This is my stupid ass chair that is just squeaking in the background here. That's not me farting. I'll claim all the farts. That's my stupid ass chair. I got WD-40. I wanted to spray it before this podcast, and I totally forgot to do it. I tell you how I got this chair, dude.
No.
That's about 10 years ago. I was walking home from work, back from work to my parking garage, right? Now it's like a half a mile away because that's the way we fucking roll in my shitty place, right? And part of that is like 98 steps, almost like 98 fucking steps you got to walk up to get to this thing, right? And so I'm walking up, I'm at the bottom of these steps, and I noticed that this company had these chairs sitting on the sidewalk. I'm like, God, this is great, right? And I got a free chair, I assumed they're free. I'm assuming they weren't just storing them there, so I grabbed one. Now I'm walking up the stairs, and I'm fat. Right. So I got this chair and I'm walking with this really cute girl. Right. And she's about 10 years younger than me. I'm about, at the time, maybe I'm like 42. She's like 32, cute as hell. And I'm like, oh, there's a free chair. I don't want to look too cheap in front of the hot chick, but I'm like, I'm not going to pass it up. So I grabbed the chair. I sling it on my back and I'm going up these stairs. Now, again, remember, fat. By about the 30th step, I'm like, huffing and puffing. Having a fucking heart attack, right? She's looking at me worried, and now I've just stopped my side of the conversation. I'm just like trying to keep myself alive. About 2/3 up the steps, she just kind of looks at me. I'm sweating bullets. She looks at me all concerned. She goes, "You want me to carry that for you?" Yeah, shit. Bad impression. Never got anything out of her, but I got a free fucking chair, man.
You got a chair, man. You got it.
10 years later, it works. But it squeaks like crazy. So that's I'm going to get some WD-40 on before the next session. That's not me farting. If it was, I'd proudly claim my own.
Yeah, you'd probably claim it, man.
Yeah.
It would probably shake the camera that isn't even on.
It's like my dice. You heard that, from last time. I inspired.
Oh God, yes.
My steel D100. I inspired Timmy. Got one too. His is cooler than mine though. I got mine from Misty Mountain. I think he got his from Dwarven Forge. I forget where the hell he got it from, but it's pretty good. It looks cool.
I have some big ones, but they're not that big. They're not that kill somebody. I'm not going to be the one taking down the Goliath with the sling stone.
Shane Ward is here too. Yeah, the whole goddamn group is here. We got Shane. We got Tim Skull Splitter. That's where it was. Tim got his from Skull Splitter. His is much, much cooler than mine. Mine is just shiny and silvery. His looks badass. His looks like something you would just, like wear around a necklace around your neck. Probably give you like neck problems, but it's just, still. Yeah. So anyway, that's my chair stories. I apologize if you hear the squeaking in the background, guys. I've scared more people away.
Mike and Joyce says City Role Playing is effing hilarious when I do it. I bust the players' balls. Listen, the busting of the balls isn't the issue. It's the time sink. That's the issue.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. And here, and just as a general comment on this, as a GM, I hate urban environments because they are, it's one thing when you're running a sandbox in the wilderness, you can plan ahead, right? In a city environment, the whole city is basically a fucking sandbox. And the moment the players do anything, first off, what do players always do in a city? Which they rarely do anywhere else, but in the city, what do they always do? They fucking split up. They split up.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go with the armor. Well, I gotta go get spells. I gotta go to mage. Well, I gotta go to the temple and make with the nation. Well, I gotta get a new fucking sort of plate armor made. So, and they go, yes, David. Everybody goes and they split, right? As a GM, that's why when you go to conventions, do you ever see an urban environment that's mentioned other than it's you starting out here? Here's your equipment. They give you a contract, and here you go. Yeah. No, or if there is one, I think I did play in one with Doug Kovacs for DCC when they were doing the Linkmore playtest. And let's be honest, and I love Doug as an artist, as a creator, as a GM, sober or far from sober. He is an amazing GM. This was when he was in his far from sober stage because he spilled his wine at 10 o'clock in the morning all over the playmat. But it was an urban setting. I don't think we left either of the two buildings that we went from one to the other. Because if you actually had us wander in the streets, it never would have ended. And yes, PCs die just as easily in the city. But here's the thing. They don't die as quickly because they've all split up and there's a time sink. Everybody, even if you and God forbid you set upon them with highwaymen or thieves or beggars, they're going to claim, oh, you're picking on me because I went to go buy my poison.
Yeah.
Ocean. You're just doing that because you're picking on me. It's personal.
I'll tell you what, Eric, after the game you were in with Tim and all of us, Tim decided to do a city game because I think I suggested I would love to do a good city campaign. And he had played in Rob Connolly's stuff, the city state of Invincible Overlord for 1,000 years. So he's like, I'll do it because he knew all the city stuff. He created the city and all this stuff. And I rolled up a character. It was going to be like a lot of us. I think me and Matt were going to play it. Now here's where Matt chickens out, right? Because Matt's favorite character of all time, his name was Snickle. And Matt also hates gnomes with a passion. So I, of course, created my character in the city, Snickle the Gnome, right? So my Snickle the Gnome guy is in the city, and Matt was going to play, chickened out. But me and Tim ended up doing some solo adventures with Snickle the Gnome. Snickle the Gnome was a thief by class. However, we never actually stole anything. He lived in a one-room tenement house and a boarding house, 10 by 10. He was a tinkerer. He looked for scrap metal, and he tried to keep his 1 or 2 hit point ass alive while he was out there looking for scrap metal. And that was the whole game. And Tim created this whole system about finding scraps and quality of scraps, and you could create various things and sell them. And, you help people out by doing all this shit. I'm like, it was so immersive and so fucking cool. When there was a fight, I ran away. I called the guards because I don't want to fight anything. I got 2 fucking hit points, right? And there's ghouls or somewhere. No, guards, come and kill that shit. And I just went around looking for scrap. I mean, one big guy chased me down an alley, and he couldn't get because I was too skinny, being a gnome. Gnome, Matt, gnome, Snickle the Gnome, and he's reaching for me. The only thing I ever fought was I stuck his hand with my dagger as he was reaching out for me, just like an asshole move. You know what I mean? And that was, I think, the only fight I ever got in. And I was a sewer worker. I had a shovel that I was using I was designing it like a shovel with had like multiple, remember the rod of many things? You could push this button to do that. It was like my super shovel. And I was a tinkerer designing this massively cool super shovel, designing it off of this ad I saw on Facebook, the awesome, Rambo knife type of shovel. So fucking fun. So fucking fun. And my job, I'd get up in the morning and I'd go to work in the sewer, and what I'd find for scrap. Great fucking adventure. Great fucking adventure. With Snickle the Gnome.
It's better than your real life job. However, I got a question for you, Joe. Yeah. Joe, honest answer. would that have been as interesting and entertaining with a full group?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the group.
No. Would you have gotten, first off, would you have gotten that amount of time on stage?
No, it was just me and Tim for the most part. We played for a couple of months, I think.
And you were accomplishing your goals. Now,
yeah.
And when you're in a dungeon, everybody has pretty much the same goal. You might have different sub goals, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my priesthood wants me here to find a relic of stuck up somebody's ass.
Yeah.
My thief guildmaster wants me to find the body of I should have been dead earlier and return his right pinky finger to prove that I returned the right guy's. That's fine, but you all have the same goal, which is to find treasure, kill shit, and take their stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're in an urban environment, everybody's goal is me.
Well, that kind of depends, right? I mean, because my brother's running that group. He's running a game with the group in the Waterdeep City thing, right? And he does it like I do. He steals bits and pieces from all over the place and create a thing. But his guys have they had an inn, right? Because they won an inn from Volo or whatever the fuck, and so that brought them together. And he also does solo shit with them, but brings them back for the big stuff together. You know what I mean? He'll say, who wants to do something in between, we'll run a 4-hour individual session. And like Tim's saying, you work with your audience, he would have shifted it. Yeah, I'm sure he would have. But it was kind of like immersive for me and immersive for him. And it was just fun tinkering with stuff like that. No pun intended, as a gnome tinkerer.
Listen, I think that I have played with Tim over a number of years, and Tim is one of the best GMs. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because I know you'll kill me anyway as a player.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It won't help you. He'll still kill you.
He's the best GMs I know because he can work on his feet. He can improvise. When a jackass like me decides that I'm going to do a skit for Monty Python, and decide that we were selling pottery out in the middle of fucking nowhere. He fucking rolled with it. He could tell me, dude, they take their swords out and they stick you like a pig. And you know what? They would have been within their rights to do so. But he it works very well on his feet. And I want to grow up and be just like Tim.
Shoveling crap in a sewer, perfect for Joe. Thanks, Matt. You know, it's so immersive. I just swear to Christ, the other night I'm watching a show, and it was Klook, that old movie Klook from like 1973 or some shit. And a woman, she was a hooker. She lived in a tenement, and at the end of the hallway there was a ladder goes up to the roof. And I paused it because in my tenement building that Snickle the Gnome lived in, Matt Snickle the Gnome, he had a ladder going to the roof. I paused it, took a picture, sent it to Tim, and like, hey, just like Snickle's place. That's how immersive it was. It just stuck with me like freaking 8 months later, or 9 or whatever the hell months later. You know what I mean? It was so cool, though. It was so cool. That's the immersion is what I'm into. You know, I don't role play voices. I don't get so much in like a method acting and all that stuff, but I like the immersion level. That's what I like about the shopping. You know, the detail, the immersion, the how many balls of yarn can I buy, and is it what kind of yarn is it half wool, half polyester, you know what I mean, shit like that. I like that kind of detail. It makes me feel like I'm there. Well,
I still remember how the Rapid Athic campaign came to a grinding halt when the party found the magical evil slot machines.
God, yeah. That was fun. I missed the initial session or whatever the
end of the session.
Yeah, because it was the end of your guys' session, and then I came into the next one, and you were just leaving that room, and you're like, slot machines with random shit. I'm like, what? Slot what? So I think we spent another hour there, just me fucking with the slot machines.
And that was the last session in that campaign. Oh, God.
Yep.
Listen, before we forget, before I forget to do it, Joe, I need a D20 roll. I need to give away some shite.
All right, let me go. I'll get my tie on my. Yeah, I got these stone dice here. I've been buying a lot of dice because
don't drop it on the floor because you get downstairs neighbors. Your body.
There we go. All right, let's see here. All right. We got a 2.
Well, perfect timing because that just. Oh no! Either way, it's fucking Matt Jackson.
Hey, Matt won something. See that, Matt?
My undying love. Actually, Matt, You should know my email address by now, but if not, tenkarstavern@gmail.com. Email me. You got $25 in drive-through RPG credit being gifted you for OSR Christmas. And Joe, I need one more. I need one more roll.
All right, let's see
If
here.
you and Matt, you don't fucking count. You don't even get counted in the counting of the count.
All right, let me roll.
I'm going to come back from Matt, but just not count Matt.
13 this time. 13. It is easier to count backwards than downwards. Yeah.
Shane Ward, come on. Shane Ward, come on down. You're the next being gifted by the fat OSR Santas.
Shane shows up the last fucking second and wins a goddamn prize. Motherfucker.
Yeah, that motherfucker. Email me at tenkarstavern@gmail.com and I get to send you a $25 gift certificate. And you know what? Since I'm not going to be doing, well, I guess I could just give away any day. One more D20.
Oh, all right.
But no, it's not as exciting. It's not $25.
All right.
You know, you can't give away $25 all the time. But it's going to be a copy of Swords of Wizardry Continual Light in PDF and in print if they reside within the United States. I'll actually send out a copy from Amazon on this one. So
is Shane still here? I think Shane dropped in like a ninja, said hi, and then he left. I don't think he's even here to get the award. That son of a bitch.
I'm sure somebody will, you know.
Oh yeah. We'll let him know. All right, here we go. One more roll. The D20.
One more roll.
Have a 6.
Of course, now I got to find where the fuck I was for Shane's win. There we go. 6. 1, 2, 3. Bob G.
All right.
That should be John Bob. Good now. Good enough. Not good enough. Tenkarstavern.com at Gmail. Tenkarstavern@gmail.com. There we go. Email me. Tell me you got the Swords and Wizardry Continual Light. I'll send you a PDF copy, and I will send you, assuming you're within the United States, a print copy via Amazon, which means you could get it before the. Well, no. You'll get it early next week. You won't get it before the weekend's over. So bad Mike. That explains it. I'm a great improviser, so my city adventures are pretty fun. But you are right. You got to keep everyone involved, and it's a lot harder in a city adventure. And again, Tim is top notch. Now, do I think that Tim could run a group with 24 players like Matt Finch can? Probably not. But I think
you would whittle him down within 3 rounds to 3 players. That's the thing, you know. So yeah, he can do it. He'd do fine.
All right, John Miller. Has anyone used Vornheim or another generic city supplement? Well, here's the deal. Vornheim is not like any other city supplement.
No, it's weird.
If you use Bardsgate, if you use Thieves World, Karst, or any of the other classic ones, Lankmar from back in the day.
Lankmar, yep.
They're different. Vornheim is all right.
It's weird, man.
I'm going to put it back in the day. Years ago.
You're going to go to the puppet story, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're going to the puppet.
We're not going to. Tim, I'll have to bring back the dragon at some point, Tim. But Feltothraxis, who was named by Tim, did a kind of not a review, but did his thoughts on Vornheim, and basically was I don't understand this book, and then knocked it off a fucking back porch in the Poconos. But Vornheim, either it speaks to you or it doesn't. Some people pick it up and go, "This is the best shit I've ever read." Yeah. Oh my god, I understand this completely, and maybe they do. I read it and I go, all right. Somebody who likes impressionist art just puked all over this book, and don't get me wrong, Zach Smith has done some stuff I think is amazing. Red and Pleasant Land, I think, is probably one of the top 5 RPG releases of all fucking time. I think Vornheim is greatly over fucking rated.
I like it for some of the tables. He has some tables in there that are useful. That's what I took out of it.
You can get it for $1. When Raggy was doing any Lamentations release for $1 deal. Yeah, that's fucking great. For $1, it's worth it for the tables. But if you're going to pay, full boat, I personally, it's one of those few products that, in my earlier time of gaming, and when I say few products, once I went back to my game store, the old Hobbies and Such out in Forest Hills, with the Munster Coliseum release for RuneQuest 3, and I came back with it, and this is back in, I guess, the mid '80s, so I wasn't making much money. I was a college student, and I came back to the store. I said, I have never purchased a product for an RPG as worthless and as overpriced as this.
Tim played RuneQuest a lot. Tim, what do you think? Was that as shitty or what? He was a huge RuneQuest player, Tim, back in the day.
He probably played RuneQuest 2. I owned that too. I learned that RuneQuest 2 is a much better system.
Yeah.
But I literally got my money back. I got store credit back. And then he went and he re-laminated the damn thing. Like, he put it back in, like, re-plastic wrap it with a little. It's like, oh wow, you can do that. You can re-shrink shit. That's cool. Now I really don't want to buy stuff again. I'm getting people's used stuff.
Oh, it was Rob that played RuneQuest. Okay. All right. My bad. I thought you played any games with RuneQuest or whatever. Yeah. I gotta say, I'm playing with Rob.
The General Tool was good, but yeah, that's about it.
I wanted to pimp out Rob. He's got this Majestic Wilderland stuff he's been doing. He has his Kickstarter. The book is out. It's out for sale and drive-through, and it's kicking ass too. And I should
be getting my copy within a couple of days. I will certainly. I'll do one of my few reviews. It is using Swords and Wizardry as its engine, basically. But it's good. If you've never spent time with Rob, if you've not read the Bat in the Attic blog, probably one of the best blogs out there about old school gaming as a general statement, and as for old school gaming blogs that have been around for
ever
10 years or more.
Yeah.
He's one of the few.
It's like OG. Rob is OG.
batintheattic.blogspot.com.
Yeah.
Just type in Bat in the Attic RPG or something like that.
His Majestic Wilderlands is selling like crazy. It's doing really well. It's a good product. And he also has stuff that he put out for the old Judges Guild stuff that's selling well too. He did rewrites, re-edits or whatever the hell it was that he did with beautiful maps. The maps are so gorgeous. I spent like $40-50 on a map case just to hold the maps. That's how gorgeous these things were that he put together.
No, and I think that's the limited time. Yeah, Rob does excellent work, and the stuff that he does for Judges Guild it's by Rob. He licensed the rights.
Yes.
So and now does Judges Guild get a fee from that licensing? Yes.
I don't think so, Eric.
There isn't that much left in what Rob has to pay back, but there was a licensing fee involved in it. But the money is supposed to be going toward making the Kickstarter full.
No, I think my understanding, Eric, the way it worked, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong here, Tim. The Judges Guild owed Rob money. He is getting sales of these Judges Guild products that he did until he's paid back the money they owe him. And then it's done. So it's a limited time thing.
Paying him back. All right.
Yeah, they're paying him back. So the sales of the stuff, if you want to get it while you can. My understanding, get it while you can, because at some point they're not going to be sold anymore. Once Rob makes the money
back, they're going to be gone from the market.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Because the whole Judges Guild.
So you know what? It's going to be something that is going to be collectible.
Exactly.
Be print on demand. So that's something that when you actually find it over on Noble Knight, and they're trying to sell you something at twice the cover price, and you say, but it's print on demand. Well, they'll be like, okay, well, that's something that you don't have to worry about. That would be it wasn't Charm, man. The paper they printed their shit on was newsprint.
Yeah.
And that's today's newsprint. It was it was newsprint meant to be, used and discarded. But they had some really good stuff. And they had some shitty stuff. But hey, some great names.
Yeah.
Like
Rob's stuff is beautiful and it's print on demand.
Is amazing.
Go to drive through.
DriveThruRPG.com. Use that $25 that you're gonna be getting.
Yeah, yeah,
no,
seriously.
Bob, did you get the 25? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Bob got it. Yeah, Bob and Bob Matt.
Use that for
Yeah, dude,
for the drive-thru.
the maps are astounding. Like I said, I bought a case just for the freaking maps, And then, like I said, though, this thing is once Rob makes his money back that they owe him, they're not going to be sold anymore. I don't think, and so it's a limited. Get it now while you can.
Something else that's out from the Bat in the Attic Publishing, Rob Conley, Black Marsh.
Yes.
If you want an amazing setting done in a style, I say a style thematically, not necessarily visually, but thematically in the style of the early Judges Guild stuff when it came to sandbox settings, Black Marsh is where you want to go. It is fucking awesome. And if you picked up the Goodman Games Points of Light, which I believe are available in PDF or on drive-thru, they're out of print, I believe. There's 1 and 2. Rob wrote both of them, and they are like little mini pocket settings, and one of them actually lines up to Black Marsh if you want to expand it.
Oh, good. That's cool. That's cool.
Oh, Bob got Continual Light. So I was right. So
okay.
Sorry, Bob. You'll have to dig into your own money to pick that up from.
But it's well worth it, dude. And get it, like I said, get it while you can, man. Yeah. And I think, Tim, you doing another zine quest thing this year, Tim? I think Matt should do it. I don't think he did it last year, but I think Steve did it last year.
Do one together.
Yeah.
They can. I don't know what they're gonna call it. Gothridge Jackson. Gothridge Jackson. There you go.
Gothridge Jackson. Yeah, Tim's doing one. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It should be good. And dude, it's about an hour and a half we're into this, man. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, we are. We're gonna probably have to. We'll have to wind it up soon because, I mean, can you have too much Tenkar and Joe? Maybe.
I don't think so. I think we're goddamn cool. But that's just my.
I think we're. This is. Joe, if this wasn't the world of COVID, we'd be like doing something like this. Like once a season down in Manhattan. But
yeah. It was a seasonal thing. We would go down there every at least once, 3-4 times a year. We'd hit it. Yeah. Hey, have you heard about Complete Strategists? They still alive? They're in business?
I do not know, and that's a damn good question because they had a game room there. Not that I ever found it. I think you had to
gotta go in the basement. Yeah. And for me, you got to grease up your sides to get down there. Everything's so fucking tight to move, But yeah, once you get down to the cellar. Actually, what we did down there, Eric, was who the fuck did that? Tavis Allison did a Dave Arneson Day. I think it was his birthday or the day he died, or whatever the hell it was. Dave Arneson Day celebration down there, and basically we ran like 5 different D&D games. I ran a game using Osric. I think Osric at the time was the only clone out there, And so I ran a game using Osric, and I gave away a free copy to some people who played in the game. It's pretty cool.
Well, I don't know if I'm assuming the strat's still open, but they have free shipping on orders over $30. Oh shit!
Wow, that's pretty good.
The CompleteStrategist.com is the premier game store in Manhattan. Probably one of the best game stores in the world. Certainly one of the best in the country.
It's like Mecca for gamers.
I did not know that they had free shipping on orders over 30. I'm assuming it's only in the U.S. They're not doing continent. They're only doing continental U.S. orders.
Well, hey, Bob G, I bought paper of that stuff, Bob. So I think it's print on demand. You'd have to, if you're talking about Rob's stuff. So take a look again, man. I think I definitely have the paper copy. I don't know why he would have turned it off.
Rob's stuff is not under Judges Guild. Rob's stuff is under Bat in the Attic.
Oh, here he goes. Correction, I have him print. Sorry. Okay, cool. And Matt's like, oh, Tim doesn't like my maps. We all like your maps. We just don't like your maps when they kill us. That's all.
Your map killed. I was killed by a map, I tell you. You damn bastard. Never too much Tenkar Joe. Listen, apparently certain people do have too much Tenkar. Oh, by the way, not directly related to D&D, but since this individual was part of the OSR until they left the OSR in a huff and then claimed that they were never part of the OSR and that Lamentations of the Flame Princess was not OSR when they were working as the publicist for Lamentations. Apparently, the Contessa website, Contessa.rocks, is offline. It was not renewed.
Oh, shit.
So,
did you buy it? Did you buy it? Come on, man. Tell me you bought it.
No, I didn't. Well, first off, it's not available yet.
Oh.
And if I did buy it, I'm probably the asshole that would buy it and then offer it back for gratis as like a quasi peace offering. Because, what am I going to do with it? Put up half naked pictures of Jane Spawn going topless. I mean, I've seen it. It's burned into my head. Bad Mike has seen it. He can't get rid of the sites.
Oh God! The one that's front of my head is that Raji picture where he's laying on his stomach with his naked ass and there's a dice bag on his naked ass. I had that saved on somewhere just because I'm like I just
never trying to be sexy in any of the poses that I. When I saw him flash me at North Texas, it was just to get a reaction out of me. It wasn't to make me go.
What, Raji flashed you at North Texas?
No, James.
Oh,
James, not James. Not. Oh, that's right. They're both James.
Yeah.
I kind of forget. I just think of Raggy as Raggy.
Right. Yeah. Raji, I think. Is it Raji?
Hey.
Whatever.
Tim
is like.
By the way, where the fuck's my rough book? I had to say.
Yeah. No shit. Tim, I don't like when you use my maps against me. That was fucking epic. For a while, it was bad. I mean, Tim's guy kept dying, but I kept using Tim's maps because I have a collection of all Tim's stuff that he had in his Kickstarter or in his Patreon. So I'm throwing Tim's own maps at him, but I'm doing Fog of War, so I'm revealing them a little at a time. He's like, God damn it, this is my map. It looks familiar. I'm like, I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
What I would do is I would turn it sideways. It wasn't right side up or whatever. And one time, Tim couldn't find the fucking map. He couldn't remember who was his. The entire game, the map was one of the ones he framed and had on his wall right behind him as we played the whole fucking game. The map that I killed him on was on the wall right behind him.
That is fucking awesome. You can't make that. You can't make
man. I didn't think he would die from it either. There was a bad streak of rolls, but pretty much whenever Tim plays D&D, it's a bad streak of rolls. So what are you going to do? It's just the way it goes.
You can't help yourself. Before we wrap this up, folks, we do this for the live audience. Obviously, we have a blast. I love sharing it on the podcast side. So the podcast listeners, this is what you're missing out on every other Friday night. I am not going to beg or implore you, but if you are listening, please, youtube.com/Eric Tenkar, subscribe. The more people we get listening live, the better the show becomes. Yeah. Honestly, really.
The interaction is everything. It really is. Everything is interaction on this.
So Joe and I had other things that we had talked about to talk about, and obviously it hasn't come up because you all allowed us to work off your energy, and I think it shows. So
we got to bring some of these guys in the game into this with us, Eric. Just. You know what I mean? Like, shoot them a link. Is that possible? Like, while we're live like this, we can just shoot like Tim or Matt a link and they could jump in?
Yeah, actually, it is possible. And it's dangerous, but yes, it
is. Let's life without a little danger.
So what you're saying is that you'd like the last 10 minutes of each episode to be like invite random strangers to the show?
Everybody. Yeah.
Well, I don't see any of them in the chat going, oh, Mr. Carter, pick me, Mr. Carter, pick me. Because I think many of them, at least the smarter ones, which I like to think our audience is pretty smart, are going, oh shit, man, I like watching train wrecks, but I don't like being part of train wrecks.
Well, if they're used to playing with us, they know our adventures, our games are always train wrecks, so they just roll with it.
I've already got a commitment, and I'm not saying that we have to send him to a mental hospital, but we got a commitment from Tim that he will make an appearance for this one.
Nice. Nice.
Epi wants to be featured because he wants to showcase his new combat walker. Somebody yesterday on Thursday nights on Discord, we do a live hangout. We call it Tavern Chat, but basically what it is that a bunch of us get together, and there aren't too many rules aside from you don't call people names, and you try to avoid most real world topical subjects, except for COVID comes up because COVID always comes up. But somebody was like, and he was one of our guys from New Zealand. We wanted to do. I can't do a New Zealand accent, so I was going to try it, but I'm not going to. But he actually wanted to role play a character not in a combat wheelchair, but a character whose occupation is repairing combat wheelchairs.
Interesting.
And I was like, that became interesting. That took it to another level. But wait, listen, Joe, I'll be honest with you. Since we have pretty much the old gaming group here right now. We could guilt them into saying, hey, we're going to put you all into a rotation every 2 weeks, and fuck you, join us.
I like that. I like Matt saying spontaneous drop-ins. I will join while on the crapper. Yeah, Matt would.
He would. And I don't want the video of that. That's what it comes down to.
At least we don't have the smell. At least we're avoiding the smell of it. You can imagine. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was David. It was David. UK, not New Zealand. All right, Dave, I apologize. You talked with a soft voice, and usually, New Zealanders are the ones that are like the few New Zealanders I actually converse with are very they talk softly and carry big sticks. Well, we could be like you,
Eric did not show.
Yeah, true.
That's true. For the longest time, Eric goes, "Hey, we got a game tonight. Where's Eric?"
I'm not doing well. Well, what's interesting is again going back to James Spawn. James is like, "Yo, dude, I've been watching your live streams." He goes, you do realize that last year at this time and before that, he goes, you didn't look this healthy. I'm like, what? He goes, you looked sick before you got sick. I'm like, for months, eh? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I guess that was the secret congestive heart failure that was hanging out in the background. Yeah. If I use my local dialect, you wouldn't be able to understand me. Oh my, David. When I was an active cop back in the aughts around 2000, my commanding officer, Captain McCormick, he was he was Irish, but he was born in the States, but he was raised in Ireland and then came back to the States. Oh. And his parents were from Donegal, and Paul's brogue wasn't horrible, but my God, when I had to deal with his parents, and I did because he wasn't just my captain, he became a friend. I would try to translate what his mother was saying I had to translate, and she would talk really fast, and it'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's my son. 4:30 in the news there." I'm like, "Holy fuck! All right, I got something about the news." Paul, the news at 4:30. Oh, the Irish news. Paul's going to be, and then I lost the rest of the conversation. And the father talked like I was a retard. Talked so slow. Eric, can you understand the words that's coming out of me mouth? Yes, thank God I can. So I probably be iffy with your dialect, but it's okay. I enjoy a challenge.
Yeah. Hey, before we go though, I'm just copying every other YouTuber.
Oh yes, yes.
If you like this, subscribe to the channel, like this, add comments, and that helps the ranking and shit.
We not just this live stream. Wednesday nights, Bad Mike and I. We do Talk and Crit, where it's less necessarily about D&D, but it's more about current events going on in the in gaming. Comments have been amazing. Next Friday, for those that are playing along at home, Glenn Hallstrom, Old Man Grognard, founder of Thacko's Hammer. If you've been following that AD&D podcast, we're going to be starting an alternating live stream.
It's cool,
So
man. Nice.
Yeah, so basically, I'll get off one Friday night every 3 months.
Yeah, the way it runs, right? You get a bonus Friday, yeah.
Yeah, so but it should be a blast. So join us for that. I don't know what we're gonna call it yet. We've tossed some ideas around last night on Discord, but it should be a blast. Especially if we have a live audience. If you have people participating, how can it not be a blast?
See, that's what I was saying. This is the benefit of the YouTube video, other than the fact that you can see us. I mean, for doing things about going over books, you can show the pictures and whatnot. That's his own specific great use of YouTube. But you're live. You got comments. You got this going on. You go back and forth and back and forth. You know, that's the fun part. That's where you get the live people. Where you say, hey, I'm busting Jackson's balls about Snickle the Gnome. And he's like, oh, that's not true, lies. That's where you bring Matt in and say, oh, defend yourself.
Defend yourself, Matt. Come on in.
That would be good.
Give you a link, and then you can just
exactly. It's all it is. It's just a freaking link. You send a link, and boom, you're in his little staging room, and he brings you into the thing. And next thing you know, boom, you're up. So be prepared if you want to defend your shit against what I'm saying, Matt or Tim, whoever.
One thing I gotta say, the live streams are awesome for this format. They're awesome for interviews.
Yeah.
And when I do the interviews, like I've been doing fireside chats now for well over 2 years, and I've been told by the vast majority of the people that I've interviewed on these fireside chats is that A, they want to come back, and B, this is the best time they had doing a podcast or an interview because I don't have a script. I don't have points that we got to hit. Joe and I don't have points we got to hit. Yeah. If we bring you on to the show with us, you're gonna have a great fucking time. You'll probably get abused a bit, but we abuse each other, so that's happened. And you're gonna come back and go, "Wow, that was great. I'd love to come back." And I've gotten that from people that you go, they're a bit bigger in the hobby than I would have expected to hear it from. I've heard from people who do their own live streams daily, pretty much, and it's like, oh no, I'll just carve out time and come back on because this shit's great.
Yeah. I look at it as just, Tenkar's Tavern. I look at it like me and Eric are at a bar and we're just talking shit. And usually Rachel's there with us at the bar, but right now it's just me and him, and we're just talking shit about whatever D&D. It's the same thing we did after we hit the Complete Strategist in New York and we get at a bar. This is the same conversation we would have essentially. That's it.
Yeah.
And then so if you jump into the chat with us and you got, your mug's up there, or your avatar's up there, or whatever, it's the same thing as if you walked up to the bar, say, hey, Joe, Eric, what's up, man? And you start talking with us. That's the same thing. It's like the bar, the tavern, Yeah.
So as Joe is telling you right now, we really appreciate you. Not just the live audience, the listeners on the podcast, the feedback I get. Listen, there's nothing. It's one thing when you go to a convention and somebody looks at your name tag and goes, oh, Tenkar, I read your blog. It's another when you're online to get food and you're talking with your wife and somebody behind you goes, oh, shit, I know that New York accent anywhere. Tenkar, this is your podcast. I was like, really? And that was, Christ, 2 years ago over in at Gamehole. So, there's a certain connection that we like to make. And I've said this in the past, and I'm going to tell you this. It applies to Joe. It applies to Bad Mike, certainly. What you hear on these podcasts, what you hear on these live streams, this is how we are in face-to-face. This is real life for us, okay? Yeah. Face-to-face, we don't act any differently. There's no airs. I don't put on a show. If I sound like a half-retarded New Yorker, that's how I sound in real life. Yeah. What you see is what you get, or what you hear, what you get, depending on your medium.
Tim, you do leave a scar in the memory. Yeah,
See, you're getting these comments about 10 seconds quicker than I am. Fuck my internet connection.
Oh, I'm looking at the YouTube channel, man.
Oh, you're looking at the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting them. I'm looking at the YouTube channel. I got dual screens going, so YouTube's going on one, and I'm looking at you on the other over here. So I just muted the YouTube channel is all. Yeah.
Yes, you can provide the beer. That being said, due to my carb intake, I probably asked for it to be a good but light beer. Hate to say it. I know it sounds sacrilegious, but I've been keeping my A1C down, and a lot of that's because I've been drinking red wine instead of beer. But I love my beer, and I just got to find beer that's a bit kinder to my glucose levels.
And just surprisingly, just because I want to lose weight, I've given up booze and any smokable products for the year. I'm 12 months. I'm doing this. That's my vow. So you won't see me bringing the big ass cooler like I brought at last ShireCon. I think I brought a wheelie cooler in with me, if I remember right. Yeah. So you won't see that this ShireCon. But
Cokes inside.
It's what I'm trying to do is I noticed that you have a little drink and you have a little imbibing the smoke in you. Next thing you know, you're ordering Domino's at 11 o'clock at night. It's like, that don't help the diet costs, you know? So
Mick Ultra works. Actually, I found that the Mick Ultra Organic, whichever one it is, has surprisingly the one that's quote better for you actually tastes better. I was surprised to find that out.
Bob, now I remember you. Yeah, the guy with the big wheelie full of beer. That was
me. I don't remember size, but beer. Yes, I remember the beer. Cheers.
I wheeled that up with the beer and a sub, I think. Yeah, it was me.
You're a wise man. You're a wise man, Joe. A wise man.
I told my brothers I got to bring some beer. And the last time I brought a little cooler, he goes, I got this thing. It's on wheels and it's, insulated. I'm like, oh, that's the shit. It's like a big fucking suitcase of beer. Like, like you bring it through the airport. Like, this is great. So I shared. You just weren't there fast enough, maybe. And it went fast.
There you go.
Me, Rach, and Eric were pounding them for a bit. And then I think I gave some to Jeff Talanian and came over. Before you know it, I mean, an 18-pack goes pretty fucking fast,
Yeah, no, it doesn't necessarily last all that long.
Yeah.
Honest to God, true story. When I was a sergeant, my civilian, my administrative aide, Carmen, God bless her, sweet older woman, totally lacking in common sense. So she went to Cuba and decided, coming from Cuba, to smuggle me back 2 Cuban cans of beer. Honest to God, Cuban beer. Yes, in her carry-on luggage.
Damn, man.
I'm like, Carmen, nobody. She goes, I just slipped the guy at customs in Cuba 20 pesos, and he didn't ask any questions.
But you're going for the beer. You should ask for the Cuban cigars. Yeah.
And by the way, the Cuban beer was nothing to nothing to really talk about. It was beer.
I had Cuban rum before. It was all right. It was like, rum is rum, right?
Yeah, generally speaking, unless it's being made by the Russians, in which case it's probably turpentine.
Yeah, that's the vodka. Yeah.
God help us. Anyway. All right, folks. All right, Joe. I think that we're nearing that witching hour. And by the way, after this, I still got to sit down with Rach and do Gamer's Health.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Really? Okay. Well, tell Rach you said hi.
Dude, I will. Hey, I'm in it to win it, dude. I'm in it to win it.
Thanks, man.
But folks, as always, it's a habit of saying this now for nearly a year. We are in the midst of the world of COVID. I am not a medical professional. Neither is Joe. Joe will tell you he's barely a legal professional. But use your common sense. If you need guidance, seek a medical professional that you trust. Ignore the talking heads, ignore the pundits on YouTube and everywhere else. Use your common sense. You got to protect yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your community. And your community includes your fellow gamers. Beyond that, be safe, be well. God bless. And I can do this now because, I was ordained when I was, out sick 12 years ago with cancer. So internet's a great thing. I don't think you can get ordained on the internet anymore, but I was. The paperwork. Folks, roll your dice well. And, well, you know what? You're going to hear this tomorrow anyway, because when this goes up on Saturday. Fuck it. I'll talk to you all later tonight or tomorrow or whatever. And Joe and I will see you in 2 weeks.
And I think this stays up, right? This, Eric, will stay up, and then it goes to the Anchor clone. The audio only goes up tomorrow or something.
And this actual live stream
Yeah.
takes like 12 hours to pop up as a video.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does. It'll pop up as a video at some point.
Okay. All
It
right.
just
But
isn't, for some reason, some wacky reason. I don't understand. I don't understand the tube that is you and me, but somehow it works like that.
listen, if you're listening to this still on the Anchor app or whatever you listen to as a podcast, remember, this is all interactive. This is what the beauty of this whole thing. So if you like it, show up 2 weeks from Friday, right? 2 weeks from today, we're going to be doing it again. Show up. Maybe
I have to look at my watch. That would be the 22nd.
22nd.
Next Friday, it is going to be Old Man Grognard, Glenn Howard and me. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m., it's going to be Bad Mike, North Texas RPG Con, and myself. We are getting a list of scary guests. When I say scary, some of them are scary, like Skeeter Green, scary, which can kill you. I kill you. But and some are scary, as in I can't believe we could get a guest like this.
Cool.
So, yeah, and TotalCon. We're gonna be doing live streams of this and talking crit, and we are going to be a week of live streams to just annoy everybody, and tell you what you're missing at a convention. It's all virtual.
Yeah,
we're gonna bring special guests.
That's awesome. Show up in 2 weeks, guys. You can join the circus.
Or lacking special guests, we'll bring Matt.
I don't know. It was
all right.
Hear that dig?
Sure. I love you, Matt. Love you. Don't kill me in your next game, okay? Okay? Later.